What's up, guys? This is Lawn Chaser. Got my dog right over there. Indy, what's up, boy? What's up? What's up? Indy boy. Yeah, he likes that. Anyways, what did you? Alright. I was watching a video from Brad Lloyd, shout out to him, about how he got started. Well, kind of like to talk about a little bit of how I got started. That's your boy. Well, anyways, I've been doing this for about 3.5 years now. Okay? Well, I got some pretty nice equipment. When I got started, I didn't have that equipment. I didn't have any of that. I had to work for it. You know, when I got started, all I had was just a push mower, a crappy Homelight curve shaft weed eater, and a Stihl BR340 backpack blower. I also had a little Troy-Bilt doesn't matter how old it is. It was a Troy-Bilt Bronco lawn tractor that I did use some, but it wasn't very reliable. However, anyways, I did a lot of my yards with the push mower and a weed eater and a blower. Well, when I got started, about a month later, I needed a new weed eater because the one I had, which was a Homelight, it kept breaking down on me. And I was getting fed up with it. Then about a month later, after getting started, I was able to upgrade to a Stihl FS55R straight shaft string trimmer. Well, anyways, and as I continued on growing, I continued to upgrade to better equipment because as I continued to upgrade, because I started getting more and more clients. However, about at the end of the year, a next door neighbor had a commercial grade walk behind mower and it had some problems, but it still ran. He gave it to me for free. But it was about a year later. It was about a year from that I was able to use it because it needed to be fixed up. Well, however, I had a Husqvarna push mower, and a year later I went to a Honda push mower because I've liked my Honda, and I've upgraded. And about a year later, I upgraded from my Stihl FS55R to an Echo SRM266T trimmer. And so I started off using some Stihl, and then I wanted to see what the Echoes were like because I had not really used much Echoes before then, and I've stuck with Echo because they have been very reliable to me, and so that's why I'm sticking with Echo. Also, reverse back to the first year. I also bought me an Echo PE225 Edger, and then bought me an Echo PB770 backpack blower, which has been a really good blower. Well, and the next year, I did upgrade to some nicer pieces of equipment, and then by the end of the next year, I had my walk behind mower, my belt drive mower. I had it up and running. You know, put about $635 into getting the transmission replaced and all the spindles replaced on it. And yeah, and then it was up and running, and I was able to start making money with it. Well, about a few months of using it, that belt drive was beating the crap out of me. So I had about 5 clients. Now just remember, I didn't go out and buy that commercial mower. It was given to me for free. And for those 2 years, I had about 5 clients. It was word of mouth. But I also was at James River Equipment, if any of y'all know what that is. And I bought me, I found the mower that I have now. I found it for a really good deal. And so it was about $1,500. It's being sold for $1,500. So I sold my 48-inch belt drive to a guy up in Trinity, North Carolina. That's about an hour from here. And sold it for $1,500 and paid $1,627 for the mower that I have now. It has been a good mower since. However, when I got this mower, I found I still only had 5 clients, so I started putting ads up on Craigslist. Within about a year, I went from 5 clients to about 15, and now a year and a half later, I'm now doing 22 yards. I didn't jump the gun when I first got into the industry, because when you start out, you're not going to have the nicest equipment. As a matter of fact, when you start out, all you just need is just equipment that can do the job. If you're starting the lawn care in the starting area, all you need is a lawnmower. All you need is a push mower. And it don't matter what brand it could be, because you're not going to start off doing 20 yards. As a matter of fact, the most you're going to start off with is doing 1 other yard. And so yeah. And however, that's where you start. So now I hear a lot of people that they go out and they buy these commercial grade lawnmowers right when they're starting their business. That's a bad way to start, because a commercial mower, brand new, is about, most of them go for about $4,000 to about $14,000. But it's bad enough. But even if you're only spending like maybe $3,000 on a commercial mower, you're still not going to be making money, because it's going to take a while to be able to pay off that much amount of money. You want to start off with something simple. You want to start off with a tool that can get the job done, and then the next thing is a tool that can clean up after the job has been done. It could be a broom, it could be a rake, it could be whatever. It could be a blower too. But if you have to go out and buy a blower, then that's one thing. But you just better make sure that you're making money to be able to pay it off. The most important tool that you need is your lawnmower. Everything else comes after. But that's only on the labor side. The lawnmower is the most important tool that you need to get the job done, but your most important tool is your phone. Without your phone, your clients cannot call you, and when your clients cannot call you, your clients cannot contact you, you can't make any money because then you don't know when they want their yards done. Your second most important is your means of transportation. Now, when I got started, I didn't have a driver's license. I was only mowing lawns in my neighborhood. So I would walk my equipment to my job sites. It'd be about, I'd go mow a lawn for about maybe $25, you know. 20 or 25. Because I didn't have a commercial grade setup then. I didn't have my truck then. I did have a Geo tracker. And then I started putting all my equipment in the back of that tracker to go around the neighborhood with, you know, because I was getting tired of walking to my job sites. Well, however, now I was lucky because not only did I not have a driver's license, but that vehicle also wasn't registered either. But I was only going around the neighborhood with it. Now, however, and I've learned a lot of things in the lawn care landscaping industry. There are some things that you want to avoid in this industry too. However, one of the biggest mistakes that you can never make is to go out and buy yourself a $4,000 or $5,000, maybe even a $3,000 commercial grade mower when you're just only in the starting area of your business. You're not going to start out with the nicest piece of equipment. That comes later. And by later, I mean that comes when you have gotten so many clients that your equipment that you're using now is not able to do the job because it's not built for that kind of work. That's when you need an upgrade. You upgrade, but you don't start off at the top and work the way down. If you're starting off at the top, you're gonna wind down at the bottom. You're gonna wind up out of business before you even know it. But also another thing, you know, clients, you may have a couple. Well, you may get a couple clients that may question you what kind of equipment you're having, but most of the time, the clients don't care what kind of equipment that you use. They only care about the job that you do. You're never going to have a client, you may, but chances are not very likely. But you may get a client, I doubt this, but you might have a client that may say, well, he doesn't have a crappy job, but at least he's got a nice mower. I take that back. The clients that you get, they're not going to be saying that. Because they're going to want someone that does a good job, you know. They want it done the way they want it. And as long as you're doing it the way they want it, then that's how you're going to be able to make a living. You're not going to get a client that's going to say, well, he does a crappy job, but hey, at least he's got a nice mower. No. If you do, well, then I guess I may be wrong. But most of the time the clients, they don't care about the equipment that you're using. They only care about the job that you do. And also another thing, I hear a lot of people saying how like they need a mower that strikes. Let me tell you, my opinion, strikes don't really matter. It's the cut. It's the quality of cut that your mower can provide. If you got a mower that strikes well, but it leaves behind uncut grass, as opposed to a mower that may not strike well, but cuts every bit of grass, that cuts clean on the first swipe, I'm going to go with the mower that cuts clean on the first swipe, because the clients, you may have some, but most of the clients, they're not going to be going around saying, well, does your mower stripe? Does your mower, like, you know, because most of the time the clients, they just want the yard cut. Sometimes they may care about how they want it cut, but most of the time they just want it cut. And really, it all depends on how, oh, excuse me. You know, it all comes down to how the client wants their yard cut. And if that's in however way they want it cut, that's the way you do it. Sorry if I had the camera pointing. But it all comes down to how the client wants the job done. But you know what? If you got a client that's asking about the type of equipment that you use, you know, well, somewhat that might not be your client. Because if you don't have the equipment that they would like for you to be able to use, if you don't have that kind of equipment, then that's not your client. Your client is one that just wants you to come by, cut the yard, and clean up after. I use the mower to cut the yard. I use the string trimmer to touch up all the areas that may have been cut, that may have not been cut, and I use the blower to clean up after. And also another thing about the blowers, unfortunately, for some stupid reason, there are some cities that don't even allow you to use the leaf blower. And there are some cities that may, but they only allow it for a certain amount of day. I know there's a lot of cities in California that have banned leaf blowers for a stupid reason. Yes, I said stupid reason. If you think otherwise, well, that's just your opinion, but I'm speaking my opinion. You know. But and I don't really understand why they would ban the leaf blowers. You know, I mean, I've heard the reasons why, but I don't understand. But anyways, your client is the one that wants the job done. If your client wants someone that has a commercial grade mower, and if you don't yet have a commercial grade mower, then that's not your client. Because you also got to realize how much a commercial grade mower costs. You know? And there's all kinds of reasons why they may want, but, however, a commercial grade mower It's not going to help you do a better job. It may leave a better cut, but it doesn't help you do a better job. But it helps to cut your... The term commercial means that it is built to be used for commercial purposes only. For commercial purposes. You know? Means it's built to be used every day. So, but however, that's not going to help with how good a job that you do. How good a job that you do, that's you. You know? When I started, I didn't have commercial grade equipment, but I still did a good job. I still was pleasing people, and that's what helped me build my business. You know? And another thing that helps you build your business is how you are to your customers. And believe me, I've been doing this about 3.5 years now. I know, I'm doing like 22 yards now. Customer service can be a pain. And believe me, I mean it can be a big pain. Because not every customer is the same. Some customers, they want things done their way. And sometimes that can be a pain. But in the end, no matter how much of a pain that a customer can be, you still got to be professional to that customer. Don't matter how mad they make you, how crazy they drove you, or how upset they got you. When you're doing this for a living, when you're doing this as a business, you need to put your personal feelings to the side. Because when things get personal, then the customer don't stay. And believe me, you will have customers that will drive you crazy. You will even get some customers that may be dishonest. Now, a dishonest customer is not your customer. They are a liability. When a customer that is costing you more than they are making you is not a customer. They are a liability. And those are the kind of customers that you need to get rid of in order to be able to make a profit. Because it's better to lose one bad customer than it is to keep a bad customer and lose a lot of money. Because if you keep that bad customer for over a period of time, you know, let's say he underpays you about $5. Okay, that's just $5. But the next time you come to mow, then if you charge the person, if you're doing the yard for $35 and he only wants to pay $30, well, you may have just lost $5 that time. But 35 equals 70. 30 and 30 equals 60. So for 2 times, you've lost $10. 4 times, you have lost 20. And so, I had that experience recently with a bad client. I had to get rid of that client. Do I like having to get rid of clients? No, but I also don't like having liabilities in my business. You see, I'm in this business so I can make a living. You know, I like doing this. I really do. That's why I'm in this business. But I'm also at the point where I have to be making money because I also have expenses to pay. But I also want to make sure that I have enough left over after all the expenses have been made. Because otherwise, if you're just making enough to pay off your expenses, like, you know, if you start out and you go out and you go finance a mower, you go finance a commercial grade mower, well, you're not gonna make money because you're having to make you're having to pay off your finances. You know, you got to pay off your finances before the mower officially becomes yours. So when you start off, you're not gonna be making money. You're just making the finance payments. That's called breaking even. And if you're also another thing about breaking even, if you're just charging your customers, you know, enough to where you can be able to put gas in your mower, that's also breaking even. You need to have money left over too, because that's how you can make your living. You're not making a living when you're breaking even, because otherwise, if you're just breaking even, then you're just a non-profit organization. But also, another thing, as you continue to grow, you also need to raise your prices up a little bit, because your maintenance cost grows higher, because you got equipment that's being used a lot more now, and also you got a lot more clients, so you're also having to spend more gas. You're also having to use more gas too. So over time, as you grow, and not to also mention that, because now you got more clients, you also have somewhat, well, limited time. And if it takes you longer, if it takes you hours to do a job, now, if it takes you hours to do a job, you need to charge by the hour. Because otherwise, you're not making any money if you don't. If you spend 5 hours having to mow a yard, a big yard, like if it takes you 5 hours to mow like a 10-acre property, and you only charge that person $35, you may as well be working at a grocery store, because that's minimum wage that you're making per hour. Because 5 hours for only $35, that's $7 an hour. If you know you're gonna be out there by the hour, if you know you're gonna be out there for hours, you need to be charging. You need to be charging a lot more than $7 an hour. You know, I charge $40 an hour when I'm doing hourly jobs. $40 an hour is not bad for one person. That's not bad. Now, I may start doing 45 this year. I'm gonna try and see how that goes. I think it's gonna go pretty well, because I got a lot more clients, so I need to raise prices a little bit. However, when you got two guys, you need to charge $60, because now you also have to pay the other guy for his work too, and also you got more equipment that's being used at the same time, so that means more maintenance too. Not to also mention that you get it done in a quicker amount of time. But if you're charging the same amount, and yet you got someone that's helping you, then you're not gonna make as much. You know? Cause now you're only making for yourself, you're gonna be making like $20 an hour. You know, because you also have to include maintenance. I'm just giving examples too. I'm just giving out examples. I mean, you know, 40 an hour, 4 hours, that's $160. Okay? Now that's not bad for one person, but when you got two people, you need to charge $60. But however, I got 22 clients that I'm doing right now. You know, and that's if you're gonna be out there by the hour. You know, you got to charge, but you also want to be fair with the customers too. Now, however, back when When I said that I was only charging, when I started, I was doing mowing yards for $25. Now I'm doing them for well, excuse me. The least charge that I do right now is 30. But that's also going to be going up after this year too. It's going to be going up to 35 because 30 right now is a little bit cheaper. But most of the yards that I do are usually around about $35 to $40. Some of them even 50. At 30, you charge the person $30 and you mow their yard every week. There's 4 weeks in a month. That's $120 that you've made in the month. 35. Okay? For 2 weeks, that's 70. For 4 weeks, that's 140. Now, when I said that the lowest that I charge is $30, it's because I do have a couple clients that I charge $30 because they got real small yards. You know, their yards are so small that I can actually get them done with the push mower. But, however, when I got to use my big mower, I got to charge a higher price because it also costs me. I got a 5-gallon gas tank on my mower. It cost me $20 to fill it up. So 30 is not gonna be enough because I'm only having $10 left over when I gotta use my big mower. But for my little mower, my push mower, I think I can get by with 30. But, however, most of the yards that I do are around about 35, some about 40, some are about 50. You know, I even got a couple that are a little bit higher than that because they're big yards. But also, I also do have a goal set, and this is my goal right now whenever I go out and do a yard. And this is what I would consider a moneymaker yard. Some would think that the moneymaker yards are these big yards. Well, yes. But to me, is that really a moneymaker yard? Yes and no. Yes, because you're getting paid a lot more, but you also have to charge more because it's a bigger yard. You know, if you're doing like a 5-acre yard, or excuse me, well, the biggest yard that I mow is about 2.5 acres. That's the biggest that I do. Yards like that, they either can or cannot be profitable. They can be profitable because you're getting a bigger paycheck because it's a bigger yard, but they can also not be profitable because they take you longer to do, and because they take longer to do, they also cost you more in gas. So that also goes in with having to charge a bigger price. My idea of a moneymaker yard is a yard that you can charge $35 to $40 and be done with that yard in like 20 minutes. That's my idea of a moneymaker yard. The higher profit yard is a yard that you can charge $40 and get done in 20 minutes. That's money right there. But you also got to realize that in this business, you need to make sure that your equipment is paying for itself in a reasonable amount of time. Yes, some people would rather finance equipment, some people would rather buy it in full cash, with full cash. But also, when you start your business, start low and work your way up. That's how you become successful. You know, as you grow, you need to raise your prices a little bit as you grow. Because over time, your gas expenses become more because now you're doing more yards, and as well as your maintenance expense. The couple of yards that I charge $30 for are done with my push mower. I can get by with that because they're real small yards. But now, however, when you're using equipment like what I got right out here, you need to charge more when you upgrade to equipment like that. So anyways, that's how I do business. You know, that's how I have been pretty successful with how I run. I mean, I've been pretty successful with how I run my business. But the main thing is, and I hate saying this, the customer, unfortunately, is always right. Well, the customer may not always be right, but they get what they ask for. A customer is right until they decide to quit paying. Then when they quit paying, you need to quit doing the service for them because now you're not making any money off of them. If you're just breaking even, you ain't mowing for a living. You're just mowing for a hobby. You're just doing it as a hobby. You need to be having money left over. Otherwise, then it's just a hobby for you. So anyways, thank you for watching. Rate, comment, subscribe. Have a nice day.